Well, a couple of weeks ago, I preached on the story of Mary and Martha. I told you that I wondered why Martha thought that complaining to Jesus about her sister's lack of entertaining the guests, help entertaining the guests, was going to bring Jesus closer to her way of thinking. I told you that I was going to leave that question for a later sermon. Today is that day. Today's gospel text opens with the question of someone in the crowd asking Jesus to tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me. Well, I love Jesus' opening line in his reply, "Man, who appointed me over judge or an arbiter between you?" The remainder of his answer could lead us to believe that Jesus is only concerned with material things. His statement, "Watch out, be on your guard against all kinds of greed. Life does not consist in an abundance of possessions." That could really give us that impression. Even Jesus' parable of the rich man that has more harvest than he has places to store it tends to reinforce the understanding that Jesus has trouble with material things. As the rich man takes joy in his decision to increase his storage capacity, stating, "I'll say to myself, you have plenty of grain laid up for many years. Take life easy. Eat, drink, be merry." God is stating, "You fool, this very night your life will be demanded of you. And who will get what you have prepared for yourself?" It's a good question. And it is here that we get a glimpse of what is the issue. It's the issue that Martha had. It's an issue with the rich man. The focus of the rich man and Martha is inward. Granted, Martha's issue is not to the degree of the rich man, but her focus is inward. Someone else is getting over on me. The rich man is far more heinous. One only needs to listen to his conversation with himself to grasp this. What shall I do? I have no place to store my crops. This is what I'll do. I'll tear down my barns and build larger ones. And there I will store my surplus grain. And I'll say to my soul, "Soul, you have ample goods laid up for many years. Relax, eat, drink, be merry." The rich man has no compassion for others. Maybe he has isolated himself from others because of his wealth. But his conversation with himself has shown that he only cares for himself and not his neighbors. He has no care for their condition, their needs. He has forgotten how being blessed enables him to be a blessing to others. There's no sense of relationship, no sense of community, and his responsibility as being part of that community. The problem isn't someone getting over on me. It isn't storing up material things. No, the problem is relational. How we see ourselves in relationship to others. The person in the crowd, like Martha, is focused inward and only concerned with self. And that is why this parable has such a stinging effect. It hits home. Are we bound for the same fate? Are we forgetting that God always blesses us so that we may be a blessing to others? Are we forgetting that God created us to be in relationship, to be a community? After all, from the very beginning, creation was not complete until humankind had a partner, one of our own, to be in relationship. I would always ask my confirmands what a community looked like. They would talk about the neighborhood, their city, the state, even the nation. But we often forget that the very foundation of community, the primary and central community, is family. Not all families function well together, and it may be a reason why some congregations are often referred to as a family. I would dare say that the person in the crowd comes from such a family. But think about it. Society states that we should take care of, number one, ourselves first. It's a dog-eat-dog world out there. We're taught to trust no one. And when parents model such a belief, when social media expounds such a belief, when our televisions and papers expound such a belief, is there any question why the church has such an uphill battle when 6+ days are compared to a few hours of countercultural teaching? The church is countercultural. Jesus teaches us to be concerned with others. He teaches us to have no fear in a world of constant be fearful. It's difficult, if not impossible, to be a family, be neighbor, to be a community when you're afraid. I do not think the author of Luke follows our text for today with the texts which are immediately following these. Do not worry. Who of you, by worry, can add a single hour to your life? This is no accident. Luke implores us to not worry and focus inward, but rather be aware of our neighbor. Take notice what is going on around us. There's a story about a pastor that was assigned to a large, and once large, and thriving congregation in Houston. Time had reduced its numbers, and worry set in to an aging congregation. The pastor was actually assigned to close their doors. As such, the pastor, along with the remnant of the congregation, began to give away all the things of the church. Then a funny thing happened. The more they gave away, the more strangers became interested in this church. Many eventually even joined. The congregation began to grow and became a thriving community once more. The more the congregation looked outward, the more relevant of a community they became. You can't outgive God. Having wealth, power, and/or position, it isn't the problem. What you do with it can be. The rich man was only concerned for himself. The person in the crowd was worried that a brother would take advantage of them, as was Mary and Martha. What are you worried about? What keeps you from seeing neighbor, family, community? God created us to be in relationship with each other so that we, together, might flourish. Christ came that we might realize a relationship with God, a relationship that serves as a model for our relationship with each other. It is countercultural, and I thank God for it. Amen.